pleasure to be hosting this podcast today because today we're going to have an insightful session discussing the very important role of business analysts, bridging the gap between business and technical solutions. So, at Royal Cyber, we are highly committed to delivering innovative and sustainable solutions. And in order to help our clients achieve their goal, we'll be diving in the technical aspects of being a BA and how we actually drive success. So, we'll also be briefly touching upon different agile methodologies. And today I'm joined by my co host, Shoaib Hashmi, and we have our guest as well, Mr. Kiran Teja. So I would like both of them to briefly introduce themselves and then, we can just get started. So Shoaib, let's start with you.
Perfect. So, hi everyone. This is Shoaib Hashmi. I am working as a senior business analyst at Royal Cyber. I have a total experience of about 9 years, close to 9 years working as a business analyst, and close to 15 years working in the IT and e-commerce domain. Right. So, Kiran, you may go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Thanks for the intro, Nada and Shoaib. Yes, my overall industry experience is around 13 players. Been working with Royal Cyber from past 3 years as a senior business analyst. I joined as a senior business analyst and then got promoted quite early to lead business analyst. Currently at Brisbane, working at the onshore, working with a future building client. So have got this is my fourth company. I've worked in
Mhm.
multiple MNCs like likes of Accenture, Cognizant before, and then with Royal Cyber now. Yeah, overall, 8 to 9 years of business analyst experience, where with 6+ years of e-commerce experience, basically worked on multiple greenfield projects implementations. Yeah, that is about me. Thank you, Nata, and sure.
That's amazing. Thank you for introducing yourself, Shoaib and Kiran. And thank you for introducing yourselves in such a detail, Kiran. I think that makes you, the perfect guest for this podcast where, we are trying to touch upon technical aspects of being a BA and, how, we can actually help our clients achieve their goals and achieve success. So I would start up with a very simple yet detailed question, which would, be that I would want you to briefly sum up the role of a BA at Royal Cyber specifically, and what technical skills are required by one, and how, we often say that BAs bridge the gap between businesses and, tech teams, but how do you actually do that? And how do you manage stakeholders properly since you have a lot of experience in it? So do enlighten us.
Sure, Nadam. That's it's a big long question, but yeah, I'll keep my answer as short as possible, though I talk a lot. So, yeah, typical BA, the definition of the BA is basically the bridge the gap between the stakeholders and the dev team, ensure the requirements are all documented, ensure you have the clear cut understanding of what the business needs. It's not just about documenting a requirement in a user story or in a Confluence page. It's about understanding the business. That's where BA has a this huge difference between BA at Royal Cyber or BA at other entities. So you have to understand the business. You have to understand the domain knowledge. You should also have the platform knowledge at which you're implementing your e-commerce solution, right? So that you have complete grip about the platform, then you can actually go ahead and suggest various out of the box features you have at the individual platform. It Here at Royal Cyber, yeah, we provide a lot of e-commerce solutions on different platforms. For example, we have a huge team for e-commerce for SAP Commerce Cloud, which is also known as Hybris. But we also have teams working on Commerce Cloud, right? Another Salesforce and other platforms also. So it's for a BA, it's very important for you to have that domain, have that platform knowledge as well. And also it's not just uh, having the knowledge on your individual platform. It's about having the knowledge on other platforms also, so that you can start comparing and understanding how each platform can give you value add. So it's not that every client, every customer picks the right platform. There will be multiple multiple things when a customer picks up a platform. It could be budgeting, it could be B2B or B2C, right? It could be the multiple things and multiple factors come into the place. But when you know the difference between each platform, you can provide your value add and explain to the customer, hey, this is what this platform has and this is what this platform has. Um, that's one. And also being able to help technically to the solution architect, understanding the overall ecosystem of the platform, because e-commerce platform is just e-commerce platform, right? You place orders and play when orders go to the ERP system, and different customers have different ERP systems. Few of them handles on SAP itself, few of them have a different ERP systems, and it also depends on the products. It depends on the from where the products come in, from where you load the customers. It's the entire ecosystem. When you understand that ecosystem, how close you are with the solution architect, the better it is, because you know the actual business, and solution architect just gives the solution. But when you actually uh, talk to the solution architect more, you tend to understand if solution architect is taking a different direction of the solution. You give your inputs and this is not is required. Can be on the performance side, where a particular design is solution is given which takes a more, which might take a more on the performance side, but you can kick in and say, hey, this area business is quite keen on having a less performance, because the more API calls, the more the more chances the page can load more, so yeah. So where I'm trying to go is, it's not just about documenting a requirement and then just hitting it, putting it in a particular in Jira or any document. It's about understanding the whole business and what exactly the business needs. Yeah. This is on a high level. Gives a difference, especially from Royal Cyber or from other entities. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that was a wonderful high level
Hmm.
brief. Now I would want you to, go into a little detail and, bring up a project that you worked on in Royal Cyber, and just
Hmm.
using that as an example, let us know how you help our clients achieve their goals, how, RC helps the people, entrusts us with their projects, how do we handle them, and how do we work towards achieving success for them.
So as I said, I joined Royal Cyber 3.5 years ago, approximately now, and the day when I joined Royal Cyber I was working on a project called project called TradeLink, which is part of a very big program in Royal Cyber, which is Fletcher Building, right? And under Fletcher Building, you have multiple BUs. Royal Cyber started with placemakers around 6 years ago, and then they extended their BUs and started solutioning all their majority of their businesses on the Hybris platform, placemakers, Laminex,
Hmm.
Myco, and I was working on TradeLink. So I when I joined here, so we are basically implementing the TradeLink project, basically a greenfield project. Though it was not complete greenfield, we're trying to migrate from a different Java-based platform. We migrated the entire solution from the Java-based platform to basically on the Hybris platform, right?
Hmm.
So um, so yeah, see, anybody can actually do that. It's not something which is something which is exceptional, right? Any companies can actually
Hmm.
migrate from one platform to other platform. What additional value add which you can give here is, you have to do your homework. So when I joined TradeLink, on day one, day two, I knew I was joining TradeLink. So I did some homework for a week or 10 days, understanding what TradeLink is, what exactly they do, with the limited knowledge which is available on the internet, right? And then try to understand their competitors, right? Try to understand what their competitors does. Look at their YouTube videos, look at their content in the internet, understand their business as well.
Hmm.
and then also get some details on get do some research, get some details on their business, how they're doing, are they doing bad, are they doing good, get some customer feedbacks on the on that particular competitor business, so that that's very important to take the customer
Hmm.
feedback. You get those reviews on the internet. With that, you know that what the customer actually likes in that platform.
Hmm.
When you start reading those customer feedbacks, reviews, there could be one particular feature majority of the customers are liking it. Then there could be one particular feature probably few customers are not liking it. Or there could be some performance issues where customer go back and say, hey, the cart is loading too much. I didn't
Hmm.
expect
Hmm.
cart to be load for just 50 products, because it's B2C. Generally customers or don't add more than 15-20 products generally in the B2C, like we buy something on Amazon or other platforms, right? But B2B, they generally have a lot of products. They tend to have more than 50, 60, 75. There are orders which are more than even 150, 160,
Hmm.
quite regular, happens in TradeLink.
Hmm.
So when you do this research and then before getting into the project, you will have the complete grip on the business, understand what the business is. Not every uh, not every commerce is the same. The customers are different, the customer thinking is different, and the businesses are entirely different. And everybody's needs are different, right? So yeah, and so when we implemented this
Hmm.
for 6 to 8 months, we've implemented the entire B2B platform. We provided all the out of the box features to
Hmm.
them, and also we have customized some code.
Hmm.
Yeah, you have something to ask? Sure.
Yeah. So, just to add as to what you were stating, so I think you raised a perfectly good point. So at RC, it's not like we are all just BAs, right? So depending upon the project needs, we are doing assessment for different clients. We are like providing different sort of solutions within our capacity. We are working as product owners for some of the projects. We are working as scrum masters for some of the projects, and I know some people who are also acting as a product manager for some specific projects as well. So it's like the BA role at Royal Cyber houses multiple roles within itself. So depending upon the project, we are not. It's not like we are only documenting requirements. We are creating user story and something like that. We are taking over multiple responsibilities, of course, but that solely depends upon the project as well. And before joining any project, we as BAs are doing comprehensive research on the client. We are doing, we are, if required, we take on multiple trainings as well. We do multiple certifications as well. And so yeah, so it solely depends upon the project. We are working in, we are of course we are working as BAs, but we are skilled in multiple other roles which are usually very near to the official role of a BA as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're spot on, sure. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wherever possible, wherever you have the
Hmm.
opportunity
Yeah.
to, improve yourself in terms of the
Hmm.
research is concerned, or
Yeah.
provide more value add to
Hmm.
the customer,
Hmm.
making their life easier. End of the day,
Yeah.
it's not just providing the solution,
Hmm.
it's about involving with them more actively and
Yeah.
passively, so that you
Hmm.
know what their actual problem is.
Hmm. Hmm.
Few product owners, it's not every product owner also from the customer side
Hmm.
are equally responsive, or even the way they communicate might not be the exact way. But
Hmm.
when you start talking to them more, when you understand their problems from
Yeah.
their side, uh, then you can also give your
Hmm.
inputs. You can take examples which have been implemented in Royal Cyber before, take those as examples. Hey, we have done this here, can we do that here? Why don't we implement this here? Will
Hmm.
this give you, will this provide more value added? I know it's not our
Hmm.
decision, end of the day it's their decision, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
providing as much inputs as possible is will be really beneficial to the customer. And for us to give that benefits, you have to do a lot of groundwork, or a lot of
Hmm.
homework. It's and then it's and It is very important for you to have that grip on
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
platform.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll be difficult for you to even talk to anybody. Yeah, yeah, that's one. And then going back to my TradeLink project. So then uh, 8 months we have implemented that, and then after
Hmm,
that we basically worked on waterfall model for 8 months
hmm,
because we are doing it a
hmm,
greenfield project, and then we shifted to safe agile,
hmm,
basically, which we can talk in detail later. But
hmm, hmm,
from then on, we have been working on the enhancements. Still remember we
hmm,
still remember how small the application was when we actually went live.
hmm,
Just very basic with the basic out of the box features. But now, if I go back and see how the TradeLink
hmm,
B2B portal works, and
hmm,
also
hmm,
the mobile app works, it's incredible. In terms of performance, in terms of the
hmm,
various features, in terms of the look and feel, the user friendliness. It's quite a nice journey. When you go back and look yourself, hey, if you are
hmm,
responsible for something
hmm,
where
hmm,
you have your hands in it for something that's a
yeah,
beautiful
hmm,
application, if
hmm.
anybody in the team will definitely feel proud of it. Will be proud of it. Yeah, yeah. Personally and even professionally. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So, Kiran, in your project, were you managing cross-functional teams as well? Since, like, of course, as BAs, we are often tasked with handling multiple cross-functional teams, like looking after their different needs, bridging the gaps, like we already discussed. So, were you looking after some of the team members or some of the cross-functional teams in your role?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the
Hmm,
beauty
hmm,
of the project of Fletcher building, especially the
hmm,
different
hmm,
BUs
hmm,
under Fletcher building, is
hmm,
where you get to talk to
hmm,
to the other cross-functional teams and other cross-technical teams as well, and I'm currently taking care of the entire end-to-end project
yeah,
management role. I'm not a
okay,
BA now. I'm basically an end-to-end
okay.
project manager with
Hmm, hmm,
heaps of experience on the BA and heaps of
okay.
knowledge on the platform.
Hmm, hmm,
So that I know what's there and how it's implemented right from the day
hmm,
one. So
hmm,
and I take care of, as I said, end-to-end. It's not just the e-commerce solution. We
hmm,
integrate with multiple third-party solutions.
hmm,
ERP is currently TradeLink is integrated with ERP, which is JD Edwards, and middleware is MuleSoft, and then products come from a different PIM system, which is called
hmm,
Innovate, and all the customer related information is stored in the Salesforce, and there are multiple third party
hmm,
platforms like for marketing, we integrated with Salesforce Marketing Cloud. For other small features, we have integrated with multiple
hmm,
other third-party platforms. So
hmm,
I take care of all the teams, and I
hmm,
understand from where the data is flowing. I know the dots. When you know this entire
hmm,
structure or entire flow, it's easy for you to communicate to the right team and right
hmm,
and Royal Saber is also taking care of uh, the
hmm,
support role, like any issues which comes up on the live, so they get notified in the Jira, and they get by default they get assigned to the Royal Cyber team, support team, and then by default I get notified when the ticket is automatically assigned to the Royal Cyber team. I get notified. I go through the summary, I go through the description, and then with the gist I understand where the issue lies. And if I'm 100% sure the issue is not lying with e-commerce solution or something which is inbound or outbound from the commerce, the issue can be between other platforms, right? So I immediately assign back to the other platforms too, so that they can start looking into it. Yes, but the answer is yes. We handle the entire portfolio, and also the cross functional teams and cross technical teams as well. Sure.
hmm,
Yeah.
hmm. Right. So, Kiran, one thing which I've observed in my career that when we are working on a project related to the PIM systems, right? So the information flow or requirement flow with respect to a PIM system specifically is on a very faster pace one, right? So it's like the client is asking for one requirement, and we are, of course, we are working for that specific requirement in a specific sprint, and then suddenly he comes with another requirement. So now what we'll have to do, that we'll have to, what we have worked so far, we have to like either reprioritize it or maybe put it back into the backlog or maybe in the back burner, and then work on the new requirement. So now if you're working in a safe model, that gets a bit challenging, right? So have you encountered any such situation?
Yes. See, the
Hmm.
beauty about SAFE is
Hmm.
uh, so so SAFE, we have something called PI planning, which we
Hmm.
basically do planning for the next 3 months. Okay, and
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm explaining you on a very, very high level.
Okay. Hmm.
So you plan that for you plan the work, you work on the PI planning for 3 days, and then
Hmm.
what you work on that is you basically s- uh, plan for the plan work for the next 3 months, and
All right.
whatever
Hmm.
capacity you have for the next three
Hmm.
months, you allocate
Hmm.
yourself around 75 to 80% of allocation
Hmm.
you give on the planned work, right?
Hmm.
And the remaining 20-25% you will have some buffer, and this
Hmm.
comes out of experience, and this comes out of
Hmm.
understanding of how many how many live issues are coming,
Hmm.
how clear the product owner is. If I realize
Hmm.
my product owner is not is if I realize my product owner changes requirements
Hmm.
more than required, so my buffer will be more. I increase my buffer to 30-35%, because I use that buffer for in case if something changes, right? I use that buffer for us still to implement us, so that we don't put that in the back burner, but we're still focusing on that particular requirement where some of the requirement is modified, but still we are targeting to achieve on that particular date, because I have 10 to 15% of buffer. Right. So with my experience in this project, so I understood 20-25% buffer should be enough, and then I take that buffer into the account, and then ensure whenever you get a scope creep, and then if there's something change in the requirement, we will use that buffer time, and then probably, and it depends on the size of the scope creep also, right? Not every scope creep can be fitted in this 10% of buffer. If you realize we need a lot big change, and especially if you have dependencies with the other system, right? So
Hmm.
you will have you will have to go back to the product owner,
Right. Hmm.
and then understand what is required. If I'll have to
Hmm.
go back to product owner and ask her,
Hmm.
her or him, hey, you're asking this. For this, you'll have to compromise on something else, and then what do
Hmm.
you want us
Hmm.
to prioritize,
Hmm.
and based on their input, you'll have to take a call. And transparency is very important here, in any project. The more
Hmm.
transparent you are with the customer, the more better it
Hmm.
is.
Right.
It's
Hmm.
sometimes most of the service solutions, we tend to have more gap between the customer and the dev
Hmm.
team. It gets quite nervous when you talk to the customer, but you should not
Hmm.
have that. The more you speak to
Hmm.
them, the more you understand their problem, the better it is. And I understood this especially when I moved on site,
Hmm.
and from past couple of years. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. But scope creep you'll have to manage
Hmm.
according to the
Hmm.
situation. And the more
Right.
transparent you are, it is easier for you to,
Hmm.
convince the product owner also. Yeah.
Right. Right. So, I think that was an excellent answer, right? So, however, the situation in one of the project which I worked on was a bit different, right? So we had a total time frame of about 11 weeks for a PI cycle. And out of those 11 weeks, 2 weeks were dedicated over to requirement gathering session, learnathon session, the usual stuff, right? And the rest of the weeks, we were working into iteration of 2 weeks. So, but in my project, the product owner was supposed to work as a product manager as well, but we had the role of program management people in my project as well. So
Mm.
just to reiterate, those people or program managers are the persons who act as an epic owners for specific features which are to be delivered within a PI cycle. So the advantage to handle scope creep in my situation was that of course we were working in iterations for the throughout the PI cycle, and after every iteration we had a sort of a system demo with the program managers, and if there was any situation which we foresee with respect to scope creep, we used to actively communicate to them. So we always had a question with respect to handling scope creep in one of the projects which I worked on. So yeah, so I guess of course, in agile methodologies, every organization has the ability to mold agile principles or agile methodologies into their own needs. So yeah, so that is why there is always a difference with respect to implementation of, say, from one organization to another one.
Right,
Right.
right. Yeah, safe.
Hmm.
Yeah, every organization has a different
Yeah.
way to implement it. But
Yeah.
when you actually follow the textbook,
Hmm.
I think Fletcher almost
Hmm.
maintains a textbook kind of safe
Right.
agile. That to
Hmm.
reach 80 to 90%.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and Fletcher especially, they're quite flexible in terms of taking
Hmm.
out RC's views also, and that
Yeah.
comes from the trust, obviously.
Hmm. Hmm.
When you provide them that particular trust, when you finish, and then when you start giving your inputs in terms of
Hmm.
changing some process, or in terms of advising something, when you start doing this, Fletcher
Hmm.
also is quite supportive to me and to my core team members here in on-site and also at offshore.
Hmm.
They give
Hmm.
us enough flexibility to take few calls in terms of the implementation is concerned.
Hmm.
So that's the beauty
Hmm.
of safe. Yeah.
Right, right. So before we dive a bit more deeper into the safe side of things, uh, like you already told us that you are working at the moment on as an onshore resource for the client. So how does being or working as an onshore resource enhance your understanding of the client's business requirements? And of course, when this is compared to the offshore roles, how do you think that working onshore is more beneficial than working as an offshore resource?
There's a lot of difference between onshore and offshore.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Especially for a BA. I think
Huh.
there's a lot of difference.
Hmm.
So when I was at offshore, yeah, I used to be quite close to the product owner as well. It's always
Yeah.
nice to have a very good
Hmm.
rapport
Hmm.
between
Hmm.
you and the product owner. That's when you
Hmm.
actually get the feel of the requirements also.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yes, there was me and the product owner used to have a lot of offline conversations in
Hmm.
terms of understand the requirement. I used to get in deep with her also, understand what
Hmm.
she exactly needs. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then I used to document them and then hand it over to the dev team to introduce the stories. But when I came to onshore, when I start sitting with the team at
Hmm.
the on-site with the customer team, that's
Hmm.
when you actually
Hmm.
understand
Yeah.
from where the pain point comes.
Hmm.
You will have so this office um, has a physical store right next to it. So basically, it's just one building where you have the physical store at the front, and then at the back you have
Hmm.
the IT office. So you will
Hmm.
actually
Hmm.
see the customers coming in who uses our platform and then provide their feedback.
Okay.
So when you
Oh.
start seeing that, you understand their pain point. It's not until offshore. I
Hmm.
used to only understand the pain point of my product owner, but now at
Hmm.
onshore, you start understanding the pain point of
Okay.
the
Well, of the
of the
customer.
users, right?
Okay.
That's more important, and
Hmm.
those pain points can be slowness. Those pain points can be other stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Some and when you start getting that input,
Hmm.
you yourself
Hmm.
feel more responsible in terms of
True.
achieving something and in terms of providing the best to the users. And then you start suggesting your product owner, hey, I heard this from one of the customer yesterday. Why don't we implement this?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then when you start having this conversation, the product owner goes back and say, hey, I've also
Yeah.
heard this, but uh,
Yeah.
uh, uh, we've got other problem to fix immediately. And
Hmm.
then I ask the product owner, hey, why is this priority for you? I
Hmm.
thought this is more priority, and then she explains me why that is more priority. So this conversation between you and the product owner is quite critical. And then at the on-site, when you start looking at when you start taking the users feedback,
Hmm.
it's a lot of difference in terms of when you write the user stories also. The
Hmm.
way you document that the words you use will
Yeah.
automatically change when you
Yeah.
understand the
Hmm.
problems of the users.
User. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. one of those
Right.
examples at one what at on-site, Shoaib. Yeah, there are the other things where every day
Hmm.
early morning you get a lot of issues. The live
Hmm.
the production issues comes in,
Hmm.
especially here in
Hmm.
Australia. These tradies. So TradeLink is basically a platform which sells a lot of pipes, lavatory ware, lavatory and sanitary ware, etc. Right,
Hmm.
and so. Like how we call plumbers, yeah, I mean, usually plumbers, right, in Asia, but these here we call them tradies basically, and
Okay.
tradies work time basically starts from around 5 a.m. in the morning, and they close their day
Oh.
by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the
Yeah.
afternoon. That's how they
Hmm.
work. So you will get a lot of production issues right in the early morning at 6:30 7
Hmm.
a.m. Your email starts ringing at 6:30 7 a.m. in the morning, and then
Hmm. Hmm.
very some simple issues user can't. So
Hmm.
user comes to a store and tries to purchase something which is worth
Hmm.
500 dollars, for example, and then
Hmm.
if he can't log in using his application, if he
Hmm.
can't register using the application, and then the desk, the person at the desk will immediately feel nervous, right? Because he's come to purchase an order which is worth $500, and then if you can't do that in front of you,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's not a good feeling for the desk,
Hmm. Right.
right? So
Hmm.
so
Hmm. Hmm.
immediately they raise a ticket within minutes, and then I get notified immediately, and then
Hmm.
I call them back, understand what the issue is.
Hmm.
It could be a simple data issue, right?
Yeah.
Probably he's
Hmm.
trying to register with a wrong mobile number, which is not available
Hmm.
in our system, right? Because
Yeah.
this is B2B, and then
Hmm.
you can't just register yourself. You should already be a member of the company, right? You
Hmm.
should have registered offline using an offline process where you provide your company details, you give your mobile
Hmm.
number there, right? Your GST
Right.
should match, your Excel, other stuff should match, right? So if the mobile number which he would have given long time back is not matching with what is entering now, you can't log
Hmm.
in, right? You can't register yourself, and then
Hmm. Hmm.
you're losing out. So I go back immediately. I go back immediately and say, hey, he's trying to register with a incorrect mobile number. Can you please ask him using this mobile number, and then he
Hmm.
does that, and then he logs in immediately. So it could
Right.
be
Yeah.
it
Hmm.
could be a 10-minute 15-minute job, but
Hmm. Hmm.
it gives a lot of satisfaction for
Yeah.
you when you resolve such issues. And then there are other issues which are more
Hmm.
technical, requires the dev team support, which are more on the technical side, or could be at the bug side. But login issues, register issues are something which are expected to be resolved within a particular SLA, because we are
Hmm.
losing out business. And then
Yeah.
if you lose out business, and that is going to be a big game altogether. You should as we provide service, we should not let anybody lose business. So yeah.
That's great, and I would like to
Hmm.
add something, which is that after listening to you and Shoaib, I also kind of realized that be it offshore or be it onshore, I think the topmost KPIs that we
Hmm.
have are basically the user satisfaction that
Hmm.
that business has, and then the other is I assume Kiran can explain it in more detail, is the return on investment, as whatever features that we as BAs, we as a company are suggesting to that particular client, to that particular business, it should be beneficial for the users that they have, and it should be beneficial for them as well. That if you're suggesting them an out of the box feature, how is it helping their business grow, and how is it helping them achieve their personal goals as well. So would you have anything to say on this or elaborate on this?
Sure, Nada. So
Hmm.
KPIs, there are a lot of KPIs which I particularly introduced. There will be KPIs company at the organization level also. There are certain KPIs which we have to follow, uh, um, which we do get the feedback from the customer. But there are certain especially a couple of KPIs which I introduced. One of them was the overall feedback of the product owner. Like it's an index of 5, where I ask the product owner to rate the overall experience of an iteration in an index of 5. So it's not about a particular stream, not about performance, not about bugs, not about development, not about implementing something. It's not about focused on a particular domain, but it's about the general feeling of the team, and how, so that that was quite critical. And there were days where the index was given 3, though you feel the iteration is completed, and you feel all the iteration goals are all over completed, and they're passed, and uh, the defects are just 1 or 2, but sometime all of a sudden you see the feedback from the customer is 3, right? uh, so these, but yeah, and then you go back to the customer and check with her, what's the issue, why was the KPI 3, so that's one KPI which I follow, and it actually made a big impact, when you take different opinions and different feedback from the customer, right? Could be, so she might end up coming back to me and say, hey, this week I've given 3 because I've seen a lot of production issues, right? And even though production issues is a different team, and then it's a different dev team, is enhancement team is a different, and then team which sorts the production issues is a different team, but her overall feedback on the application is 3, right? So
Hmm.
that is directly impacting on the royal saber. So that's when you as a manager or your leadership kicks in immediately and understand, hey, okay, this, where are we lacking, right? And then improve on that. If there is a particular area where there are more number of production issues, you probably get a team, dedicated team, probably for free, right? For a couple of weeks or 3 weeks. There's no harm in providing or leaking some budget to such a loyal customer. Get a
Yeah.
team, get a back end of 2 members, front end of 2 members, understand what the issues, and fix it in 2-3 weeks, and then ensure we don't see the production issues on that particular area, right? So that's how we I dealt with few of the broad issues, and from where I've got this is from the KPI. And second question was, sorry, Nada, it was on the I don't recall. Can you repeat that second question, please?
It was, I think you answered my question
Yeah,
perfectly.
yeah.
It was all based on, the KPIs that
Hmm.
one should be looking
Hmm.
forward to. And I think that as a BA, I think you've explained it really well that we don't only have to take
Hmm.
care of the KPIs that the business has
Hmm.
itself, but we also have to take care of the KPIs we are
Yeah.
Hmm.
responsible for as a team. So I think that's
Hmm.
great. And I
Hmm.
think it was great listening to you and Shoaib sharing their experiences. It was very insightful for me. And I think it was a very knowledgeable session for me as well
Hmm.
because I got to learn a lot. So yeah, Shoaib,
Hmm.
you want to add something to it?
Yeah, so about tracking of the KPIs, right? So, what I used to do in one of my projects, like, of course, there is no dedicated format which a business analyst can drive in order to drive the KPIs of a specific project. Of course, we can drive any sort of document for that. But what I used to do was I used to use the RTM or requirement traceability metrics in order to track down different KPIs as well. So, uh, of course, in the RTM document, we are putting down the status of different sort of requirements or different sort of features for our specific project or product, right? And what I used to do is I used to add a bit more detail to that. I used to add different stuff like requirements coverage. How satisfied is the user with with the requirements that we have completed so far? If there is any sort of what you can say feedback from them, we can incorporate that in the in that specific document, because of course the document was shared with the management, with the product owners, with the product managers, with the program managers, and everyone used to look at that document as to what's our performance with respect to each of the features that we are delivering in the iteration side of things, right? So that helped us. And what we used to do, just to add, and what we used to do is in every retrospective of an iteration, and in the inspect and adapt session which we used to have after the PI is over, we used to discuss that specific document as to, for example, if we have so we used to discuss that we have delivered like these 4 or 5 features. So feature number one, how satisfied was the client, how many bugs were encountered in for that specific feature, and what would the team rate out that feature out of maybe, let's say, 10 or 15 points. So yeah, so it helped us track the overall KPI of the team, and it helped me to track the KPI of myself as well, as to if, for example, if there is any sort of new requirement coming in, or if we are to change an existing requirement. So how efficient I was in order to like track down the requirement with respect to that specific feature, and how satisfied was the customer in uh, with respect to the solution that me or the team proposed. So yeah, so that is one way of looking with respect to the KPI of a project as well.
Yeah. Retrospective sessions are very important. Sure,
Yeah.
that you raise a really good point.
Hmm.
That's where you get the overall feedback from the product owner and also from the team as well.
Yeah. Hmm.
I use different tools
Hmm.
wherein the team just gets into the tool
Hmm.
and then provide their
Right.
feedback, and the
Hmm.
feedback is quite anonymous, right? You don't
Hmm.
know who
Hmm.
provided the feedback,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
still you get a chance to read that feedback, and we
Hmm.
don't know who
Hmm.
has written that feedback, right?
Yep. Yep.
So and then these are all genuine feedbacks, right? And
Right.
then
Hmm. Hmm.
you just start discussing about that. If the team
Hmm.
has something to defend on it,
Hmm.
when you start talking about it, that's when the overall
Hmm.
conclusion of the feedback
Hmm.
comes in.
Hmm.
And then what I used to do is, if there is a couple of conclusions in a particular iteration, my agenda as a PM is we don't repeat the same mistake again and again. That's quite important. And then you
Hmm.
you you create those conclusions as a Jira task for the next
Hmm.
iteration, and then
Hmm.
ensure you read that out. If it's a task, you ensure the task is completed, and if it's a
Hmm.
practice, right? You ensure the practice is done. Like
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
example, there is a feedback that the cameras are not on from the customer, or from
Hmm.
somebody else. But the few people who in the team who don't switch on the cameras, but that's
Hmm.
not every customer takes it positively.
Yeah.
Some customers take it insulting as well, because
Yeah.
their cameras are on, others cameras are not on, right?
Hmm.
So it's a
Hmm.
practice which you have to do,
Yeah.
and then you create a Jira task for the next iteration, ensure the cameras are switched on during the stand up call,
Hmm. Hmm.
so yeah, that's how we track down what we have got, what feedback we get in the retrospective sessions. Yeah, good
No,
point, sure.
definitely. Yeah, no, I definitely think that whatever methods that you and Shoaib shared, I found them to be very beneficial. And I think
Hmm.
they are
Hmm.
actually very efficient to, track our progress, our team's progress, as
Hmm.
well as client satisfaction. So I
Yeah.
think all the contributions that both of you made throughout this session, they've been very valuable. And as I said before, I had a lot of fun learning so
Hmm.
much from you guys. So I think we
Right.
are nearing the end of our session. I think this was a
Hmm.
very productive conversation. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun sharing your experiences too. Do you guys want to say something in the end before we sign off?
um I'm all good. Thank you so much. Just one point. I always emphasize any BA to be more technical. For me, the next step for a BA should be a solution architect. Where you when you understand solution architect don't need any this
Hmm.
too in detail technical knowledge, but when
Hmm.
you understand the overall ecosystem of the project, you can start giving a lot of solutions on it. So and one should all BA should at BS in RC should definitely emphasize on more on the individual platform knowledge.
Hmm.
Go through a lot of readings, and if it's SAP, you have a lot of documentations for SAP. If it's
Hmm.
Salesforce, commerce, you have a lot of documentations which Salesforce provide. There'll be different versions comes in
Hmm.
every now and then, every 3 months, few every 6 months. Understand why we have a
Hmm.
version upgrade, right? What are the differences between the previous version and this version? When you understand those version differences, you can go back to the dev team. There can be
Hmm.
improvements on cart, there can be improvements on search, right? And then you go back to the dev team and request them to implement this, if it's a small effort, and then you can go back to the product owner and say, hey, in this latest version of Hybris, you've got a new feature. So are you interested in in this particular feature? Give out the advantages and disadvantages of that particular feature. If it's really useful, they will definitely ask us to implement that as an out of the box feature, right? So I
Hmm.
request any BA to get thorough knowledge on their individual domain. That will definitely help you in terms of your career progress personally and also professionally
Hmm.
as well. Wherever you go, wherever you are,
Hmm.
it really helps in that. Yeah.
Right, right. Yep. So yeah, so just to add from my side, for any business aspiring business analyst, either they have like 15 years of experience, 5 years of experience, or even if you are someone who is interested in the BA role, right? So there are a couple of things which you need to like consider, right? So do not stick to one industry. That is, if you are working, for example, in the healthcare domain, right? So at some point in time, you need to switch or maybe look into having some sort of specialization done for with respect to other industries as well, right? For example, within the healthcare system, maybe you are working on an HRM, right? Health management based system, right? And within e-commerce, there are different technologies. So always consider that you don't need to stick to one industry at a time. Mix things up, right? Like do some changes with respect to the industry you are working on. Another thing which I can suggest is don't limit yourself to having or performing with respect to a specific certifications. Like for example, if you are dead set on working as a business analyst and you have done the CBAP certification, right? So consider some point in time in your career to work as a or to did do a certification with respect to CSM, or maybe gain some knowledge with respect to product management. In my opinion, the ultimate goal for a business analyst would be to either transition into the product owner role or maybe into the product manager role. So if you have some sort of certifications done it in advance with respect to, let's say, product owner, right? Maybe you have done the certification of a CSPO. So it would be easier for you to transfer yourself from a BA role to a product owner role. And of course, like Kiran, I think perfectly stated all of the technical stuff that comes with respect to the BA responsibilities. One more thing which I can reiterate is develop your leadership and management skills as well. Since BAs are not expected to work in silos, so it's not like that we come over to work, we open up a document and we start writing out different sort of requirements. We are creating different sort of user stories and then having those assigned to the dev team. No, of course, we write user stories, but we have to explain them to the team as well. So if we are short of maybe leadership skills or maybe interpersonal skills, we would fall behind with respect to our project, right? And of course, one thing we already touched base on with respect to the onshore and on like offshore part, keep your networking or interpersonal skills on a top level, right? For example, it would, in my opinion, it's very easy for someone to convince working on a user story if you have good networking skills. So if maybe I can just go to Kiran, okay, so I've assigned you this story. How much time you think can you take on this? Okay, so maybe if the team member will say that okay, so maybe it will take like five minutes or so to 5 hours or so to complete that. So maybe if you have good negotiation skills, you can go ahead and have a good negotiation with the team members. So yeah, see, so these are some 5 or 6 pointers roughly which came into my mind, and I thought to share with all of the business analysts that might be watching this podcast.
Definitely, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
all your
Hmm.
experience and all, especially this last advice that you and Kiran gave, I think it's amazing.
Hmm.
I have noted it down for myself, and I'm pretty sure all the future BAs
Hmm.
or anyone who aspire to get into this profession will definitely benefit from it. So, thank you guys. Thank you for your time, and I hope you had a great time in this session.
Thank you so much, Nada. It was nice
Yeah.
having this podcast with both of you
Hmm.
guys, and they are looking forward to have more podcast sessions soon.
For
Thank
sure,
you.
for
Definitely.
sure, definitely.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you.
thank you.